tech team and our volunteers that continue to show up and make this the place of love that it is. You know, it's very comforting for the minister to know that they can be away and that things are not going to fall apart. And for me, that is the true meaning of what it means to be a spiritual community, that we are a team working together to experience ministry. And so our topic for today is You Are Enough, the Art of Happiness. And it's an invitation for us to recognize all of the parts of us, the part that we like, the parts that we don't like, the parts that we may have some questions about, just to know that we are a total wholeness. We are created in the image and likeness of this creative intelligence, however it is that we identify it. And we are all parts of the one whole. Nothing exists outside of the divine. And Ernest Holmes highlights this in his book, A New Design for Living, on page 111, where he says, and this is a very powerful one-sentence statement, "The present moment can never provide us more joy than we are able to embody." We talk about our lives being like a container. And in our classes, we teach about mental molds. And a mental mold is just the capacity to expand what we have. It reminds me of the story that many of us have heard, probably in various descriptions, but it's generally related to a fisherman who is out on the pier and is catching the largest fish that he's ever seen, but he keeps throwing them back. And so a younger fisherman is standing nearby, and he finally goes over and he asks the fisherman, "Why do you keep throwing the fish back? You know, these are really great fish. Why do you keep throwing them back?" And he responded by saying, "Well, I throw them back because I only have a frying pan of a certain size." And so the invitation out of that story is to get a bigger frying pan. And this is what our mental molds are like. It's like our frying pan. So as we expand our consciousness, as we expand our evolution, as we expand our growth, we are able to contain all of the happiness and all of the joy that Holmes is talking about that we embody in this present moment. Holmes also talks about joy, or the art of happiness, as the art of living in the present moment. And what keeps us from knowing the present moment is a sense of not being whole. When we step out of this present moment, we go into that place of lack and limitation. And it's this sense of wholeness that brings us back into the belief and to the knowing that we are enough and that there is enough in the world. And I know right now, given what is happening in our country and in other places in the world, we may be questioning this idea of wholeness and this idea of enough as we see greed continuing to be reported in the press and reflecting in our lives in various ways. Ernest Holmes wrote in Living Without Fear, "Back of unhappiness is the thought that there is not enough love, not enough peace, not enough health, not enough understanding to go around. And this results in the lack that impacts our lives." Our practices, though, and this is the good news, our practice of mindfulness and our spiritual practices free us from this relentless craving. True happiness is not in the fleeting emotion we feel from time to time. It is in acknowledging that our wholeness, however we are and wherever we are in this moment, is enough. We realize that we are already enough, and we have enough to be content. And this is where I think we're being invited to that place of recognizing that right where I am, exactly with what I have, I can be content. I don't really need any more to make me complete. And I know in my own life, I've experienced that as a result of moving and downsizing on a number of occasions. And with my last move, I made a declaration to myself. As the items that I was packing, I swore they were multiplying like bunny rabbits. You know, I'd clean out a cabinet and I'd go back and the cabinet is full again. I just cleaned this one out. And so the commitment that I made to myself was, if I can't see it, I don't need it. And I have remained pretty true to that commitment. Now, when it comes to books, that's a different story altogether, and that's a talk for another time. But it's arriving at that place of recognizing and knowing that I am enough and I have enough right in this moment. All of my needs are met. And there's a line in the 40-day prosperity plan that says, I have no unfulfilled expectations. And that really resonates with me in knowing that right where I am, God is enough. God is all there is, and that I am enough. Last weekend, I had the opportunity to be away on a meditation retreat, and it was just basically in our backyard down at Asilomar. And yet, being there were 23 of us that were on the retreat together. Being in that setting and being with the group and the synergy of the group, it felt like we were away in a totally different setting, a totally different location. And I just want to share with you a few things that for me came out of that retreat. At the beginning of the session, we were asked to set an intention for what it is that we wanted to accomplish during the retreat, and also set the tone for 2025. And so for me, the focus was on love, gratitude, beauty, joy, and compassion. These are the areas in my own life that I am desiring to expand and to enlarge in my mental mold, or get a bigger frying pan to contain more love, more gratitude, to appreciate the beauty and the joy and the compassion that is available for me. And a magnificent insight for me was on one of the days of the retreat. We spent the day in silence, and we were in silence from arising in the morning. You know, even I shared a room, and even with the roommates, you know, we just acknowledged each other's presence with a bow or a nod. There was no conversation until after dinner in the evening, and when we came together and focused on the day. Part of that day of silence included a walk along the beach and those of you who are local and those of you who may be familiar with the area know that Asilomar is right on the ocean. And there's a nice beach, so we walked the beach from Asilomar to the Pebble Beach Golf Course. And I was walking a little slower than normal because of the little physical thing that's going on. And at some point, the walkers ahead of me, I lost sight of the group. And so I arrived at what appeared to be a fork in the road. And the path could have gone straight, or the path could have gone off to my left. I chose to go to the left, which took me up along the golf cart road in the golf course itself. And so I'm walking and I'm not seeing anybody that's a part of the group ahead of me. And at some point I made a turn on one of the curves there, and I could see the walking path ahead of me, but I had no idea how much longer it would take me to walk around the golf course to get to that path. So I made the decision to turn and go back. And when I went back to the starting point, that was where I recognized that I did not see the trail, the sandy trail that went ahead. The aha for me was to be mindful and to always be present in the moment. I think I was so focused on and the feelings of abandonment and the tribe, no one should be left behind. And all of these negative feelings started coming up, and I just acknowledged them. And then what I realized was that in the stories of trekking and tribes going back to the ancient times, there were scouts, if you will, that were sent off in various directions to determine if it was safe, if there was food, if there was water, or whatever else was that may have benefited the tribe. So I felt that, okay, I went out on this journey of my own. And even in the story of Jesus the Christ in the Christian Bible, it talks about Jesus going alone, going off, separating himself from the crowd to get back in tune, into alignment with that indwelling presence that was within him. So that came up for me also as like, okay, I needed this experience of going off on this journey of my own to come back to myself, if you will, and to recognize that I am on this journey of awakening. I am on this path, and that I am creating this path as I go along. And as I'm walking back towards Asilomar, there were other people in the group that had stopped along the way and were just observing the surfers, listening to the waves coming in and out, and it was an absolutely gorgeous day. And so we acknowledged one another in the silence, and then I felt that reconnection. Okay, I'm back with the tribe, I'm back with my group. And that moment of reconnection just, erased all of that negative stuff that had gone by. And then I realized that after that point of connection, I chose to continue walking by myself. But at that point, it was a choice. And so the ahas for me were, be in the moment, be aware of your surroundings, and it's okay to go off and discover on your own, because this is how we live our lives, through our journey of self-discovery. February is Black History Month, and we're also celebrating the season for nonviolence. And I believe these are examples of our topic this morning, radical interconnection. It's a reminder of our oneness with the divine. I have a couple of quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. that I would like to share with you that I believe relate to this idea of radical interconnection. King begins by saying, "We have inherited a large house, a great world house in which we live together, Black and white, Easterner and Westerner, Gentile and Jew, Catholic and Protestant, Muslim and Hindu, a family unduly separated in ideas, culture, and interest, who, because we can never again live apart, must learn to live with each other in peace." And isn't that what is being called for right now in our world? To live together in peace. King also said, when an individual is no longer a true participant, then they no longer feel a sense of responsibility to the society, the content of democracy is emptied. So it's when we feel disconnected, when we feel that we're not a part of, or we feel that we're being excluded because of whatever, and fill in the blank. Those are the times where there's a tendency to just throw up our hands and say, the heck with it, or whatever other word you would like to fill in that blank with. Today, as was shared in our reading, is the 10th day of the season for nonviolence. And the thought for today is faith. Gandhi said, "Faith is permanent. Happiness and unhappiness are fleeting things." And so let us allow the season for nonviolence to become a daily experience rather than just a 64-day practice. Let us not get distracted by or blinded by the surface chaos that is happening around us. Let us be diligent in going behind the scenes, doing our own research. And I'm thinking of sometimes we will see in a production, especially a movie, you'll see the actors cut, or what's going on behind the scenes and the pieces that have been cut out or left on the floor. Or you'll see in a rehearsal there's a preparation, a musical. You'll hear the various instruments, or you hear the various vocalists that are warming up. And so what we see on the outside is the polished finish. We don't see the chaos that's happening in the background to lead up to the polished finish. And so as we are being bombarded with the chaos that is happening around us, let us step back. Let us do our own research. Let us come from a place of intelligence. Let us come from a place of being informed. And let us, most of all, most importantly, let us come from a place of love. And a few aspects of happiness and enoughness is what we're talking about today. Happiness is the habit of embracing all of who we are in every moment. And I like this article from Megan Hale in Enoughness, A Journey of Self-Care and Self-Love. And she says, when we are enough, no, we are never enough, never balanced enough, never rich enough, never thin enough, never healthy enough, never successful enough, never happy enough. This is what our culture would like for us to believe, that we are not enough. Enoughness, she says, is a state of being content with who you are and where you are. It is the foundation on which we experience joy and true fulfillment. Enoughness allows us to honor who we are, the people we have become, the achievements we have obtained, the impact we have created. And this is to be content in this very moment. So stop, take that holy breath, as Dr. Michael Bethwick says, and just embrace what it is that you have accomplished in your life up until this point. What impact have you made on the lives of someone else? What impact have you made in your family? What impact may you have made in your local community? What impact, just your presence, just showing up and being the love that you are, that is a part of the legacy that we leave here on this planet. Without enoughness, it is difficult to experience fulfilling success because not enoughness tells us we always need more, and the status quo is simply insufficient. To truly set ourselves free and embody wholeness, we combine mindfulness and insight. Mindfulness allows us to become aware of our habitual way of living. Perhaps there are hooks that keep us searching and craving for this void that may appear in our lives. Mindfulness allows us to become this hook that is out there. This need to fill whatever this void is. This hook could be a feeling of not being loved or not feeling safe. This is what we attempt to create here in our spiritual communities. And this is why we come together on our Sunday morning experiences, other times that we come together, because we have created a container where we know that we are loved, where we experience being loved. This container where we feel safe. We feel safe to express what is going on in our lives, knowing that we're going to be supported as we move through the experience. And we're not always here to give advice. In a loving community, we take the time to honor each person and to listen, to hear what is being said, and to know that the answer lies within each one of us. And sometimes merely talking something out, speaking the words out into the environment, provides the answer that was already in us. And the sound, the vibration of our voice makes that answer become real. This is what it means to create a container of love, to create a container of respect, to create a container of safety. It's important to acknowledge, again, to love all of our parts, the parts that we like and the parts that we don't like. Because we're not, and I'm not a real meat eater, but I'm thinking of a chicken. This is what's coming to my mind. We're not a chicken that is being carved up. We're not splitting the breast. We're not separating the wings and the thighs and the legs and the drumsticks. We are total. So we acknowledge and we honor all of the parts of ourselves. We never deny our wholeness. True happiness means acknowledging that we are complex, messy human beings. And so we appreciate the mess and all that goes along with it, because we come back to this place of knowing that God is love, and that this messiness which is showing up in our lives is an example of our free will. And so as we move through this journey of awakening, which I love to call it, we recognize that spiritual growth is not about getting rid of pieces of ourselves. It is about accepting the totality of who we are and loving it. Learning to love all of our parts is a practice. It is not a journey with a destination. It is an ongoing practice. Becoming comfortable with our emotions, becoming comfortable with ourselves, becoming comfortable with our loved ones invites us to fall in love with our I am. We fall in love with our I am, our presence, our awareness of who we are in the moment. Now, doing this, I should caution you, doing this alone may be painful. We may need some support and some assistance. And so we reach out and we seek the guidance of a therapist. Or we may reach out to a counselor, to a minister or a practitioner or a coach. Nothing says that we have to do this alone. And so I'm going to put in a plug for our prayer ministry here at the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. The ministers and the licensed practitioners are here to support you in identifying those places where you just might need a little polishing. You know, sometimes we take a soft cloth and in my case, I clean my glasses, or I clean off the face of my phone from the fingerprints. We just may need that soft cloth that polishes things up a little bit to bring us back to the awareness that I am enough just as I am. And I close with this quote from Terry Cole Whitaker, which is in our February Science of Mind magazine. And I encourage you, if you don't have the current edition of the magazine, to really get it. The daily guides are outstanding, written by Eugene Holden, and the articles are absolutely outstanding. Terry Cole Whitaker says this in the article: "After all is said and done, my closest relationships, including family, friends, students, and business associates, the keystone for all relationships is the one I have with myself. For when I know and am who I am, not a manufactured identity that I must promote or defend, then I know and am respected, and I know and respect who you are authentically, not a false identity." And this was another aspect of the retreat that was very meaningful for me. It's like I didn't have to lead with any type of a facade. In fact, I chose not to identify as being a minister. There are some people in the group that know me and know my background, but it's like I am showing up as someone here who is here to work on my own stuff, you know, my own human messiness. And that container was created for each one without any judgment, without any criticism, without any cross-talking or attempting to correct another person. That's the container that was created. And we don't need to go away on a retreat to do that. You know, it's nice to get that reinforcement, but we can do that in our daily lives through our spiritual practices. And just to say to ourselves, you know, each morning when you get up, this is your assignment for the week. Each morning when you get up, look in the mirror and say, I am enough. Say it out loud with a big smile on your face. Even if you don't believe it, continue to say it until you do believe it. Because you are, we are, I am enough. When we embrace our wholeness and happiness, it becomes easier to see the wholeness and happiness in others and to work towards a world that works for everyone. This is radical inclusion. And I invite us now to say together our affirmation for the week. I embrace the wonder of life, knowing I am enough. Let's say that together again. I embrace the wonder of life, knowing I am enough. I invite us now to turn within as we pray together, stepping into this place of knowing that I am enough, knowing that life is good and very good, and that life is absolutely all that there is. I speak my word this morning, knowing that the life that I live is a life of God. And I know that the life that each one lives is the life of God. It is a life of infinite intelligence. It is a life of grace. It is a life of love and joy and beauty and compassion and everything that makes up this world around us. And so as I lead from a place of compassion and grace and love, I lead with a smile. I lead with knowing that I am connected with everyone that is around me. There is an interwoven relationship by our being here on this planet at this particular moment in time. And so in this time of interconnection, I let go of the chaos. I am aware that it is there. I am not denying that it is there, but I choose to step back and be an observer and to witness this thing that is called life, allowing it to unfold as it is going to unfold, knowing that in the midst of the chaos, everything is working itself out for the highest and best of everyone that is involved. I speak my word this morning with joy, knowing that the love that I am is the love of God. And as this is true for me, it is true for all people in all places and all times. And I speak my word of compassion and love for those who are experiencing transitions in life. The transition of a loved one who has stepped off of the mortal plane into immortality, stepped into the continuing of a greater life, knowing that each time we think of that person, we recall a smile, a gesture, a comment, a word, or just a movement of their being. They live on in our hearts and our minds. And we continue to embrace them with love, knowing that even in the invisible, there is still an interconnection, an interwoven connection of oneness with all of life. I speak my word for those who are experiencing transition in right livelihood, in housing, in relationships, in whatever it is that is present in this particular moment, where one may find themselves at a crossroad on this journey that is called life, knowing that the choice is always there, and we can always choose again, and choose again, and choose again. For we are never outside of the grace and the love of God, this creative intelligence that says, I am with you always, even unto the ends of this thing called earth. I speak my word of blessing and gratitude for places where individuals are gathering in the name and nature of the one life, knowing that each one is on their own individual journey of awakening. And there may be points where our paths intersect, and at those intersection points, we identify where we are alike, where we can find love for one another. And we allow all of the other distractions to just dissipate back into the nothingness from whence they came, knowing that true love has no boundaries. And for this and so much more, I am eternally grateful, releasing this word back into that law which always says yes. I know that it is complete, and I just allow it to be so. And if anything that I have said resonates with you in any way, I invite you to affirm it with me as we say, and so it is, and so it is. And now it is time for us to participate in the law of circulation, also known as offering time. And I want to thank you for the ways that you continue to support this spiritual center. We are a donation-based organization, and all of your gifts are tax deductible to the limit of the law. And it is through our individual donations and contributions that we expand the footprint that our center has here on the Monterey Peninsula. And that footprint extends outside of these physical walls into the love that we take out into the world. And so I invite you to say with me now our statement of abundance. It's on our screen. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so for those of you who are viewing online, there are ways that you can contribute to our center. And this is identified on our screen. You may mail in your donations. You may text to give, or you may give through our website, montereycsl.org. And for our virtual community, our friends and family in Facebook and on YouTube, just like to remind you that the month of February, here at the Monterey Center, we are practicing radical interconnection. And I invite you to go to our newsletter, which is online. You may access it through our website, and find out what is happening here at the center and identify ways that you can participate if you choose to do so. The Season for Nonviolence, Black History Month. February 14th is Valentine's Day, and February 14th is also the anniversary of the charter of our center. It's interesting, I was out in the lobby this morning, and we have 3 certificates that are posted that identify the dates that we were chartered, and each one of those has a different date on it. The same year, but different dates within the same year. And so my understanding is that we have always celebrated February 14th. And so that's the one we will continue to celebrate. So we say, happy birthday, Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. And so to our friends and family that are joining us in Facebook and on YouTube, we invite you to join us next week as we continue our February series. And the title for our talk is Ripples, the Art of Mindful Living. And so we say, enjoy this day. For those of you who are Super Bowl fans, may the winning team win, and may the losing team lose gracefully, knowing in the long run there are no winners and losers. It's just the luck of the toss, I guess. I'm not a real football fan, so I don't know the terminology, and I'm not going to try and mess it up. But wherever you find yourself on this day, be the love that you are. Be the love that shows up in everything that you say and do. And so we say thank you, good morning, we love you, and God bless you.